Welcome to Innovation Dialogue. I'm Ding.
My voice.
My story.
My dream.
Innovation Dialogue.
We are encouraged by their story. Welcome to Innovation Dialogue. I'm Diana Ding, and today we're going to talk about business innovation. We're happy to have our speaker here, and he's Mr. Praveen Gupta. Thank you for coming.
Diana, thank you for having me here for Innovation Dialogue.
Thank you so much. Actually, talking about innovation, and everybody thinks it's really hard to evaluate. And what is innovation? Everybody have different answers. But how to evaluate the innovation and how to make innovation used on business and make business profitable and innovation can become faster, right?
Yes.
So tell us something about yourself, your background.
Well, I have electrical engineering background, and I used to work at Motorola and AT&T Bell Labs. And then I started my business for consulting, and I was part of the team that developed Six Sigma process. So I was writing a book on Six Sigma, and it started with the questions that what should a business do to be successful? If we can show the slide first to show that there are four pieces.
Let's see the slide, and so you think about how to make business more successful, right?
Business more successful,
Yes.
because when I came to USA in 1980s, businesses were more tuned into growth, and now a lot of businesses are focusing on cutting cost.
So let's see the first slides and
So-
show your developed for something, right?
Yes. So what this slide shows, there are five pieces. First of all, every business has a common fundamental strategy, and that is called to sustain profitable growth.
Yes.
That means every business has to make money and has to grow. You cannot do one or the other. And many times businesses focus on one or the other. And the challenge is, though, when you want to grow both, you need to optimize. You need to. There's a trade-offs. So my question was, what do I need to do for a business to be successful? So once that strategy is clear across all businesses, then we realize we need four things. One is a scorecard, so you can have the right priorities versus focusing on the wrong things. Then you have excellence in execution has to be very good. Because if you design a good product and if you don't produce it right, then it's not going to make money for you. And third thing is to grow on an ongoing basis, you have to have innovation. You have to create new products. So what is the purpose of innovation? The purpose of innovation primarily is to create new businesses, to create new opportunities.
The purpose of business is the purpose of innovation is to create more business.
More business, more revenue, more sales. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so you wrote several books, and this is Business Innovation for 21st Century, and the Six Sigma Business Scorecard.
Yeah, so the Six Sigma Business Scorecard was the first book, and that was also translated in Chinese.
Into Chinese.
2004.
Wow.
In the process. And so this book has done very well around the world, and still people use it in universities for further research. But this book highlighted the need for developing the innovation science. So when I discovered that we need to learn innovation, and by this time I've been training at Motorola University and suppliers around the world.
So actually you're helping people to discover what they're really good at, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I want to develop this innovation science so people can learn, because otherwise people think it's a gift of God. Some have it, others don't have it.
But you believe that everybody have the ability to do the amazing things.
Yes, because research shows that our brain is very similar to each other. There's no difference in our capacity to create new things.
So why some people are able to and some people are not able to during their whole life?
Well, a lot of it is because some people discover accidentally through their experience, through their bringing up, how the family they grow up, the society they live in, they get the ideas they can do this.
You think it's accidentally? Why?
I think until you learn, it is an accidental and experimental. But once you learn it, then you can do it when you want to do it.
So how did you recover yourself? How did you find out that what are you really good at?
Yes, so when I was at Motorola, I knew that I always liked to do something different because I grew up in a family of
Like what different?
even the testing. If I were doing the memory chips, semiconductor memory chips, I would test it differently. If there's something is not working right, I want to fix it and create something new. So anytime, if somebody has done this, some process for a long time, and if it hasn't been changed, that means something is wrong. So I would just come and change it, look into changing it
You
first.
mentioned that that's also because the family you grown up, right? What kind of, so when you start to realize that you have such ability?
Well, when I went to university from my high school, then something happened, and I realized I want to do something big. Before then, I was in a big family, the youngest person. I'm just sitting quietly listening to everybody else. But when I left home, then I think something clicked, and I said, now is my time, I'm going to do something. So in my universities, I used to organize big events. I'm always used to organizing events, All India exhibition, and things like this. So
that's why we're so honored to have you work with Silicon Valley Entrepreneur Festival.
That's why I just took it so easily, because I know I've done these things before for 30 years or 35 years.
Okay.
And thanks for having me on that Silicon Valley Entrepreneur Festival.
Oh, thank you. So coming back to this business innovation, and you developed a theory, a method for training for the innovation. So you think that you believe that innovation can be trained?
Yes. So one of my questions were that there's so many experts out there in innovation, and there's so many methodologies. How do you know which one is right?
Yeah, how do you know which one is right?
So to answer that question, you have to go above the methodologies and develop the theory of innovation, develop the fundamentals of innovation. And for that part, I did research.
What is fundamental of innovation? What is fundamental?
So the question is, what does innovation depends on? What does it depend on? And I found innovation depends upon 4 things.
Do we have a chart to show that?
We have chart the slide 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll cover that maybe later.
Okay.
So there's equation. There's innovation equation where it says innovation is a function of your effort you put in, and then the speed of thought, how fast you can think.
Oh, speed of talk?
Yeah, speed of thought.
The faster
how
you
fast
talk?
the brain? No, the brain.
The brain. Okay.
Speed of thought. So how fast you can think. And that thinking depends upon 3 things. It depends upon your knowledge, it depends upon your experience, and depends upon your imagination. And with that, you can determine how innovative you are.
Okay, so actually, when you talk to someone, maybe in a short time, you can identify how the level of innovation, right?
You can. Actually, people know it too. Sometimes if you look at in a group, some people are very creative, they're fast talker, fast thinker, the idea people, and some people don't think hard. They don't know how to do it. And even though they have the potential, but they just haven't grown up into be a thinking person.
Even for those people who don't think fast, and how do you how do you train them to be an innovator?
Yes. So I studied brain first, how the brain works for 9 months. And the brain, we find we have the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere, and the left is more logical and procedural, and the right is more visual and artistic and creative piece. And so some people think they're the left brain people, some people think they're right brain people, and I want to answer those questions. So I wanted to teach creativity first. I studied creativity first. And then I look at how do you think of new ideas. And then how do you turn your ideas into new products or solutions, and then into business.
But normally,
and how do you make money?
Normally, that's how I feel. People with the right brain and they are artistic and maybe have ideas, and they're not really good at execution.
That's why most creative people are poor people.
Oh, so most creative people are poor people.
Yes, that's why we have to develop both sides of the brain.
That's a sad news. And how can you help them?
That's where we develop this education and innovation. So what we found that creativity can be taught to anybody in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes?
Yes.
So can you summarize that in like 1 or 2 minutes?
Yes. So creativity, there are 3 rules of creativity. And the first, the most important rule is a person to decide that I want to be creative. I want to be myself.
Motivation.
Self-motivation.
Yes.
You have to. Nobody can do that part.
Yes.
And actually, I'm writing a book right now, The Heart of the Innovator. But they have to decide first. Even they're not motivated, but decide I want to be different than everybody else. And the second is then the basic definition of creativity. And so mechanical and so easy to learn. There's no magic to it. And the rule is creativity is combining two or more things differently.
Two or more things in differently.
Differently.
Can you give us an example?
So for example, like how I came up to innovation, I was applying the Six Sigma methodology with theory of constraints. And I learned from that to be successful, you have to be innovative. Then I decided, let's look at how do we learn to be innovative. So if you look at any innovation today, any innovation, it is a combination of new things, a few things.
But it's a combination of new things, but also based on the experience and based on the
Absolutely.
knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
It's not like suddenly coming to your mind. It's not that.
No, I think you can learn now. So today, you can learn a lot of things very quickly on internet. So internet changed the game.
Yes.
With the internet, you can learn any new subject in 5 minutes. You can go to Google, you can do search engine, Baidu, I think.
But if you're not an expert, do you think they can be an innovator?
So it depends upon different types of innovations. So there are fundamental innovations, there are
What
major
kind of,
innovations.
you mean different type of innovations, and what's the different types, and do you have the name for the types of innovation?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
So first of all, so innovation has three components: knowledge, play, and imagination. So based upon that, we define 4 types of innovations: the fundamental innovations, platform innovations, derivative innovations, and variation innovation. So fundamental innovation is like finding the God particle. That takes a lot of people, long time, you have no idea. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of thinking, a lot of imagination. Now, the platform innovations is the one that large corporations develop. And that requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of development, a lot of imagination. So you look at it, the fundamentals in one way would be like a lot of PhDs working in a room together, trying to think and figure out something differently. The corporate innovations could be a lot of like master's education, then about so one third. So a lot of 1/3 knowledge, 1/3 experimentation, and 1/3 thinking, imagination requires. But the derivative is now to develop the system for a particular industry. So once you have the platform, now you can apply to different industries. And the variation is more about personalizing. Then how do you personalize innovation and the mass customization? And this century is about mass customization. For example, everybody's cell phone is very personally customized. Every phone is different. No 2 cell phones are same. They're different. So that's mass customization. Now to mass customization, you don't need a lot of education. You don't need a lot of experience. You can do it mechanically. Could be automated. For example, when you go to the cell phone shop, you can buy different colors, different tones, different music, different pieces, whatever you like, they can customize for you. Doesn't require a lot of knowledge. But for derivative, is like more like small businesses, they can develop derivative innovations. And the large businesses can do the platform innovations.
We're talking about making innovation faster and more profitable. And so you've been working with many companies, like hundreds of companies,
Yep.
right, in the last 25 years.
Yes.
And I also see the former CEO of Motorola wrote recommend for your
Yes.
book. So how do you, when you work with a company, and how do you make this innovation profitable? Do you have a story to share with us?
Sure. So, if you look at the success rate of innovations today, the new products, is about 10-20%. So the most new products fail. So, and as businesses, they have been improving their process for a long time. So right now, the R&D and the product development have the most opportunities to improve. And they affect the product costs. So we need to find a way to make the R&D faster because product life cycle is shrinking.
It's really hard to make R&D faster because, engineers, they want to do things in a perfect way and need time.
But the challenge is it doesn't come out in a perfect way. It doesn't.
So you have, that means you have to sacrifice something to be able to achieve the speed.
So how do you achieve the speed? So if you look at person, when we walk on our feet, just walk on our feet. When we run, we jog with our legs. If you walk, transfer the energy to legs. But when we run with our stomach. And when we race with our head. And if you notice, when people are on the track, their head is ahead of the body. They have to think and plan. So same thing with innovation. Right now there's a global competition for resources. There's the USA, China, India, Brazil, everybody's competing for the resources. So when there's a race, that means you have to learn to innovate faster. Without learning, you would be innovating much slower and much more inefficiently. Because in the race, you know the opportunity, you have to go grab it. If you know the opportunity, then you have to innovate very quickly. So we have to learn how to innovate.
So I think it's more about the mindset, the way of thinking, right?
Absolutely. Actually, it's the mindset and the resources. So first, as a country, every country has an innovation strategy today. And then they're trying to allocate resources. But they forget that it needs to be taught first. They just invest the resources. Like, for example, European Union, they have invested a lot of money in innovations, but they haven't seen the results they would have expected it. China is committed right now to personal innovation so that they have been known for manufacturing. Now they want to develop the systems. Same way India and same way in USA.
So how do you see the China innovation? Yeah.
So I think in China, first of all, it comes with experience, as we said. So China gained a lot of experience with manufacturing now, versus USA now has less and less experience in manufacturing. So first thing is going to happen, more innovation, manufacturing innovations will come from China. We're already seeing that. Now they want to have more product innovations. So for that part, and faster, because there's a competition. So for having product innovations faster, then we must make education in innovation in China like part of the education curriculum.
Education innovation in China, maybe someday you can go there and teach them.
I would love to do that.
Yes, so actually you are certified to teach the professors and trainers, right?
Yes. So what we did, we developed, so this book I wrote, the Business Innovation book, is designed to teach innovation to other people. Because I already knew how to innovate, but I want to, and I've been an educator. So as an educator, I want to create the knowledge set so that it can be transferred to everybody.
Have you ever been to China?
I have been to China and Guangdong in Shenzhen area, and I love it.
Okay,
I think I'm just amazed how quickly they have developed large infrastructure and very good.
Yeah, in China nowadays, it's not only manufacturers. In China, I see the many really high-tech and true innovations. And
they would
so
come.
many.
That's natural,
Yes,
right? Once you get the experience, then natural evolution is you're going to use the knowledge to develop more products. You're more informed. And it's going to happen by itself. But if it happens by itself, it will take more time.
You know, I see that many of the Chinese entrepreneurs, actually, they learned from their experience. They learned from the past. But what's the difference between the training for innovation and also learning by themselves?
So learning by experience, as we see, the success rate is 20%, 10%.
20%, 20 or 10%,
Yeah.
okay.
So to improve the success rate, to innovate faster, to innovate better, and to innovate more profitably, then you have to learn. Then you can experiment faster and know what you're doing. And for example, I was teaching this class at University of Illinois in Chicago. When I have one of the steps to students about the research, how do you even research? You can be more efficient. And he said if he had known that step, it could have saved him 200 hours of time in research. And if you notice the research, what does the research mean? Why do we do research? Research says re and search.
Oh.
Find
and search.
what has already been searched. So the purpose of research is to find what has already been done.
Oh.
And then on top of it, you develop something new, then it's going to be new. If you don't do the research, then if you just develop something new, somebody already may have it. That's how you become more efficient.
Yeah, you've been working with so many students and professors and companies. What are the common mistakes they made?
That's a very good question. So I think the common mistake they make is, what I'm finding now, is identifying the opportunity right.
Identify the opportunity right.
Yes, and then two, rushing to develop a solution. The first idea I get, and I love it because I have it, and I just work on it. And so we require them to think, at least develop 3 solutions.
Okay.
So always maximize innovation so that you can have the best solution, not just a solution.
You said that identify the opportunity right. Then first one is identify the opportunities.
Yes.
And I think that many people can identify. But how do you identify Right.
Yes.
What is right? What is wrong?
Yes. So I think what we want to do, so everybody has a unique skill set, right? So we want people to identify the opportunity that is aligned with their passion,
Yes.
aligned with their skill set, aligned with their nature.
Yes.
That's where they have the best chance of being successful.
Okay.
So when you want to identify the opportunity where you will love working on it, even though it takes longer, even it takes, you don't know what's going to take. When you're committed fully to it, then you will enjoy the experience and the chance of being successful is higher. And of course, it has to create value. So the right opportunity is one that aligns with your skill set, your nature, your intuition, your innate skill, and also creates a market opportunity.
Yeah, I think that creating value is very important, and this value is not only the value. It has to be profitable, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, this is really hard, you know. As an entrepreneur myself, and when we started our business at the very beginning, we have the big dream, we have the very good intentions, and we are very passionate. But then we're facing the problem and how to be profitable. That's a problem that many of the startups are facing. That.
Yes. So if you notice, the many very successful entrepreneurs, like say Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, all the big innovations you have seen, and successful companies, they have been ahead of time. They have created something new that hasn't existed, which people haven't asked for. But even to think in those terms, you have to have a lot of mental readiness. You have to become thinker, you have to become creative person, you have to become innovator, as you're always working on it, and then suddenly you will hit that.
You have to think ahead of time.
When the passion meets the opportunity, is a bingo, I got it. And that's how you get to it. But before then, you have to continually become an idea person, the thinker and the creative.
You have to know what's going on in the future.
Yep.
Like you are writing so many books and you never read books, right?
No,
you told me you seldom read books.
Actually, I don't love reading books as much as other people do, but I do still read enough to write books. But most of my books are written based upon my experience. I love to experiment, I love to fail, but then I try, I learn from it, and I share. So writing is a way to summarize what I've experienced and share with other people.
So our show is called Innovation Dialogue, and in one sentence, how do you define the innovation?
Innovation is something that gives, one is of course novel, is new, it gives you competitive advantage, and it adds value.
Competitive advantage and also create a value.
Creates a value.
Okay,
Three
so
factors, yeah.
It's great. Then today we talked about business innovation, and we have Praveen Gupta with us, and thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy our talking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Already passed it?
What is innovation?
Customer needs change every day. You got to be able to meet them.
Be able to spot human talent and to be a good leader.
Dream of things that never were and ask why not.
You have to keep creating.
Make people's lives easier.
The future. It's recognizing the future.
Reimagine what is possible.
Creating something entirely different.
Solving a problem creatively.
Valley, China, and all over the world.